For much of the season, the Dolphin defense has been accused of lying down on the job. And with a spot in the AFC Championship game at stake, they were ready to jump all over each other to get the job done. Unfortunately, while they were jumping, wide receiver Steve Largent, number 80, was slithering through their clutches for a quick 6. Once Miami was burned, they proceeded to stamp out all further Seattle offensive fires. And with the Dolphins looking to avenge their playoff loss of 83, one thing that wasn't extinguished was the fierce hitting and even more ferocious tempers. While Dolphin Bruce Hardy barely avoided removing Kenny Easley's head, running back Tony Nathan, number 22, had no trouble removing Seahawk defenders from his path en route to the end zone. Nathan's 14-yard run was unusual for the NFL's top passing team. But even more unexpected were the 2 interceptions thrown by Dan Marino in the first half. Although, after all, he was challenging the Seahawks, the most larcenous team in football, whose teamwork on defense is akin to Miami's superb timing and coordination on offense. Ever-alert safety John Harris, number 44, helped Seattle remain true to form, recording both thefts. But Seattle could only convert 3 points from the turnovers. However, Marino had never thrown more interceptions than touchdown passes in a game, and he was not about to set a precedent against the Seahawks. Undaunted by his mistakes, Marino regained his patience and connected with Jimmy Cefalo on a textbook perfect post pattern for a 34-yard touchdown. Marino and Cefalo taught the Seahawks a lesson in how to exploit single coverage. But another angle of the touchdown reveals that the play was made to look so easy by the hard work of all-pro center Dwight Stevenson, number 57, who seemed to magically dispose of blitzing safety Don Dupik, number 35, with a mere wave of his hand. While Cefalo did a smooth disappearing act into the end zone, the rough and tumble play of the interior lineman was very much in view. In this game, with everything on the line, it was undoubtedly at the line where the most intense battle was being waged. The Seahawks recorded no sacks against Miami, and when Marino was dropped, it was not until his lightning-quick release had produced yet another strike. Marino had only an average performance by his lofty standards, throwing for 262 yards. But he did spread the wealth around, using his phenomenal field vision to spot Bruce Hardy, one of 8 targets on the day, to put the game out of reach at 21-10. Marino's stats were still markedly better in this year's winning effort against Seattle than in last season's lost cause. One reason could be the ever-amazing play of Mark Clayton, who spent last year's playoff game observing from the sidelines. Another look at Clayton's 33-yard deflected reception reaffirms Marino's comparisons with the great Terry Bradshaw. Both have such poise and self-confidence, as well as faith in the ability of their receivers, that they can throw passes that others wouldn't dare. Bradshaw won 4 Super Bowls. Marino hopes their comparison doesn't end there. Meanwhile, for Mark Clayton, he wouldn't mind a comparison with Lynn Swann, or perhaps Harry Houdini. But for now, he'll settle for an incomparable 31-10 victory over Seattle. At Candlestick Park last Saturday, the San Francisco 49ers looked like they owned the field even before the opening gun sounded the start of their NFC divisional playoff battle against the New York Giants. The Niners maintained this take-charge posture after the inaugural kickoff as they quickly laid claim to 71 yards in just 8 plays. Joe Montana climaxed the drive with a touchdown pass to Dwight Clark. While Clark, number 87, and Montana comprise a passing tandem that many teams try to emulate, the Giants' hopes of duplicating such aerial artistry were quickly dashed on their initial possession when Phil Simms' second pass of the game was picked off by a diving Ronnie Lott. Number 42, Lott, returned the theft to the New York 12-yard line. And another look at the play reveals that the ball traveled an unusual path before Lott wound up with it. The pass was deflected at the line of scrimmage by number 57, Dan Buns. Then it bounced off number 50, Ricky Ellison's back. What might be termed the trickle-down theory of creating a turnover led to another touchdown pass by Montana. This one to a wide-open Russ Francis, number 81. The 49ers built a fast 14-0 lead, but suddenly their offense seemed to get lost in the fog that covered the San Francisco Bay Area, as a pair of Montana interceptions resulted in 10 unanswered New York points. Number 53, Harry Carson's touchdown allowed the Giants to give their impression of New Yorkers trying to board a subway during rush hour. And it cut the San Francisco lead to 14-10. The 49ers, however, struck back on their very next possession as deft play faking by Montana froze Carson and a Giant defense that reacted to number 33, Roger Craig's move into the line. Since most of New York's defenders were reading the run, Freddie Solomon got single coverage and Montana hit number 88 for a score. San Francisco closed out the half with a 21-10 advantage, but after the intermission, they were unable to extend their lead. Still, they did continue to increase their offensive total yardage, though all it got them were 2 unsuccessful field goal tries. The Niners' biggest play was a 53-yard dash by Montana, the team's longest run from scrimmage of the season. Montana is justly famous for his mobility, but long-distance jaunts are uncharacteristic of this resourceful quarterback. Montana isn't known for throwing interceptions either, but after running such a long way, he came up short of the end zone when he served up his 3rd errant pass of the game. Number 55, Gary Reasons, produced his second swipe. And with over 15 minutes remaining in the contest, New York's chances to mount a come-from-behind effort appeared strong. But the 49er pass rush proved to be even stronger. The Niners recorded 2 of their 6 sacks in the final quarter. And when they weren't harassing Simms, they were hammering his receivers. After number 49, Jeff Fuller's interception was nullified by a penalty, New York still had an opportunity to stage a comeback. But the 49ers lowered the curtain on this drive. And when the Giants got yet another opportunity to make something happen with less than a minute left to play, San Francisco lowered the boom on Simms. Number 76, Dwayne Board's fumble recovery secured a 21-10 San Francisco victory. During a regular season in which the 49ers had compiled an unprecedented 15-1 record, their offense had made the headlines. But this playoff victory proved what San Franciscans have known all year long. The 49ers' defense is also front-page news. Heck, these guys even maintain their feisty demeanor when they're coming off the field. That's one reason why the 49ers will be playing in an NFC championship game for the 3rd time in the last 4 years, and why the Giants reached the end of the road in San Francisco, despite coming a long way in a 1984 season that now belongs to just 4 teams. In 1984, no NFL team stood taller on defense than the Chicago Bears. These fiery modern-day monsters of the Midway not only have rekindled memories of the Bears' glory days of the past, they have also helped bring Chicago its first football division title in over 20 years. And in last Sunday's playoff match against the high-scoring Washington Redskins, it was indeed the NFL's #1 ranking defense that dictated the tone of play. Although this game was played on the next to last day of the year, the Bears decided to do their New Year's celebrating early. Their own brand of bell ringing had some Redskins seeing stars, while others must have been wondering whether this was really the reincarnation of Super Bowl 18 all over again. But the players wearing the Raider-like black colors were not the only people doing some hitting. During the game's early going, players on both offenses were dropping like the Times Square ball on New Year's Eve. Unfortunately for Washington, this old-fashioned blood and guts trench warfare is not compatible with their high-tech computerized offense. For in addition to being aggressive, the Bears' blitz is so unpredictable that even a seasoned offensive line like Redskin Hogs can get confused. Here guard Ken Huff correctly reads linebacker Mike Singletary's inside blitz, but by leaving his position, he gives the dangerous Dan Hampton an easy chance to beat single coverage blocking. But the Bears did not rely totally on stunts and slants to sack Redskin quarterback Joe Theismann. When it comes to brute strength, nobody on Chicago is more formidable than defensive end Richard Dent. Even double teaming could not keep this All-Pro from registering one of his game-high 3 sacks. After setting a league record 72 sacks during the season, the Bears' ability to put pressure on Theismann was not all surprising. What was surprising was the razzle-dazzle they displayed on offense. 9 times in his career, Walter Payton has completed the option pass. Since 8 of those tosses have resulted in touchdowns, it can be deduced that this play was designed to net 6 points. But when quarterback Steve Fuller hit wide receiver Willie Gault with his simple sideline toss, all he was looking for was a first down. What he got broke the game wide open. Flashing his world-class sprinter's speed, Gault raced 75 yards towards the end zone to make the most of his only catch of the day. This touchdown came on the second play from scrimmage in the third quarter, giving Chicago a 16-3 lead. With the game suddenly opening up to a style that better suits the Redskins' needs, Washington quarterback Joe Theismann proceeded to move the ball fast in an effort to put points on the board in a hurry. Twice in the third quarter, the Redskins drove into John Riggins' touchdown territory. Twice Big John, who was contained for most of the afternoon, capitalized on his specialty of scoring from short yardage range. But ultimately, the key in deciding touchdown was delivered by one very unlikely hero, Chicago's underrated second-string quarterback, Steve Fuller. Injuries have kept Fuller from proving that he can capably fill Jim McMahon's shoes. But by hitting on 9 of 15 passes for 211 yards, including this clutch third-quarter touchdown toss to Dennis McKinnon, Fuller provided Chicago with 23 points. Just enough provision of inspiration the hungry Bear defense needed to put Washington away for the winter. Chicago prevailed 23-19. If there is any doubt about whether these Bears resemble those monsters of the Midway of old, take note of one fact. The last time the Redskins lost a playoff game at home was in 1940. On that day, they were shut out by the Bears. 44 years later, Chicago is once again standing tall. But they cannot claim to be #1 yet in the NFC. San Francisco stands ahead, and beating the 49ers will be one very tall order. In Denver last Sunday, Pittsburgh quarterback Mark Malone was starting his 12th game and his first playoff game in the 5 seasons since his selection as the Steelers' first-round draft choice in 1980. No one knew quite what to expect, including Malone himself. But even he could not have dreamed that he would fumble the ball over to Denver twice in his first 4 offensive plays. Malone's second fumble led directly to Denver's first touchdown. Number 87, tight end Jim Wright, was sent in motion to his right, and John Elway sprinted out and found Wright all alone for the game's first touchdown and the lone score of the first quarter, much to the delight of the customary 75,000 mile-high zealots. Wright was again sent in motion to start the second quarter, but this time Elway threw a lateral pass back the other way to running back Gerald Wilhite, who in turn threw downfield to a patiently waiting Steve Watson, number 81. Watson then crossed back to his right, picking up blockers for a 52-yard gain in the game's longest play. This time, the Broncos did not cash in their scoring opportunity. On 3rd and goal from the Steelers' 6-yard line, John Elway dumped a short pass into the waiting hands of number 67, Pittsburgh nose tackle Gary Dunn. And thus were Denver's first half scoring chances done in. With 3 minutes left in the first half, Mark Malone and the Steelers turned to fullback Frank Pollard, number 30. And Pollard ground out 44 yards in 3 plays to highlight the best drive of the half by either team. In all, Pollard carried 16 times for 99 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the best game of his 5-year career with the Steelers. On 1st and goal from the 1, Mark Malone once again gave the ball to Frank Pollard, whose second effort just got him through the Broncos' goal line defense for the touchdown, which gave the Steelers the lead at halftime, 10-7. The first series of the second half concluded with a blocked punt by number 28, Denver's Roger Jackson. With 1st and goal from the 4, the Broncos again could not capitalize with a touchdown and were forced to settle for a field goal, which tied the score at 10. But on their next series, John Elway had the time and protection necessary to step up and fire a 20-yard bullet to Steve Watson in the end zone. Steve Watson led both teams in receiving with a career-best 11 receptions, good for 177 yards. But the Steelers then got to show off their Rookie of the Year, wide receiver Louis Lips, number 83, who on the following series caught 3 passes good for 50 yards, and the touchdown which tied the score once again, this time at 17-17 after 3 quarters. For the remainder of the game, John Elway was hampered by a pulled groin muscle and an injured knee, which made him a relatively stationary target for the Steelers' ravenous pass rushers. With 3 minutes remaining in regulation and the crowd pleading for a chance to break the tie, an Elway pass over the middle was short-circuited by Steelers safety Eric Williams, number 21, who headed up the left sideline toward the end zone. Williams had stepped out of bounds at the 2-yard line, but his clutch play had set up the game-winning score. And on 3rd down, Frank Pollard's second effort once again banged it over for Pittsburgh. Chuck Noll's Steelers had joined the Miami Dolphins, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Chicago Bears as one of the NFL's elite Final 4. who this week will have the honor of playing for the championships of their respective conferences, while the Broncos and 23 other teams look ahead to the NFL season of '85.